Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King. And today I'm going to be giving you part 6 of What If Naruto Was the Hope of the Uchiha Clan. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual. Share this to all of your friends in social media platform. And also guys, stay in tune for the rest of what is coming your way over Anime King 2 and Anime King 3. If you're new, yes, you heard that correctly. I indeed have 3 channels, Anime King, Anime King 2, Anime King 3, which I post what if on every single day for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family. And turn on those bell notifications so you can see exactly when I post. So yeah, without further ado, what do you say begin this new episode? Start the intro. So the last time we left off, Shisui was accompanied by Kurama as they made their way towards the barrier. It was then that Shisui saw something that shocked him as Kurama grew. Kurama's been hiding himself to keep unwanted attention off of him, as he was by the Uchiha's sides. But unwanted attention was not something that he wanted, as Shisui saw the might and the bloodlust of the fox. But yet he stood by him, and the both of them created a distraction. With that, Naruto and others made their way, as the Yamanakas tried to fight them, but Yamanakas were skilled when it comes towards the mind. But when it comes towards physical attributes, they stood no chance, as the Uchiha boys slaughtered them, making their way as Naruto found the head of the clan, as he threatened the man. As Naruto was gonna slaughter every single one here if the man did not submit to his will. And just like that, it came to a stop before anything else as the rest of the Uchihas and the Hatakes arrived. Neri then spoke to Sakamu, as the man would not get his daughter until he signed the treaty. The one that took his daughter was put to death despite everything that he offered towards the Sakamus. But they didn't want that at all. Sakamu had looked towards Naruto and he saw that look in Naruto's eye. And he also made up his mind as well. He was going to take that. He wanted something and that was a man's head. And that was what he settled for. And the Yamanakas couldn't say anything about it. It was then that the alarms were raised. The alarms were blaring as the Senjus were coming. The Senjus, the Sarotobes, and the Akimiches. As a full-out battle was gonna happen. As they would not allow the Uchihas to conquer so much of their land. As things went crazy in less than a second, it was chaos everywhere. As Naruto moved out despite having lesser numbers, his bloodlust, his rage, gave the people some kind of hope as they felt it. The undying spirit of fight and the madness of the Uchiha started to take over as they charged into the depths of battle. It was chaos everywhere as the others took the other lines as Naruto saw him, the one that he hated and despised so much. Tobirama was talking to his younger brother as he told him that if he fall in battle he should run, and his younger brother would lead the charge, but his brother didn't want to leave him at all. His younger brother was more so kind-hearted than Hoshirama, and that was really saying something if you knew Hoshirama's attitude. But his younger brother was even worse when it comes towards being kind-hearted towards people. So Tobirama had to make a difficult choice. But Naruto started to cut through the ninjas as he started to reap. Heads were being taken off. Chests were being obliterated. As Tobirama watched his younger brother engage Naruto to stop him. And that was a mistake as he got electrified as Naruto's body was coated with nothing but lightning. Tobirama was fast as he came in and blocked Naruto's strike that would have taken off his younger brother's head. As Naruto flipped and landed, as the madness could be seen that all Uchiha was known for. The rage, the violence, the chaos. As Naruto screamed in rage, calling out Tobirama's name. As Tobirama saw in those eyes nothing but unending hatred. And he was about to face that right now. So yeah guys, so basically that's what I thought. If you guys can switch across the place, check it out for yourself. So it's in this new episode. Tobirama! Naruto screamed as the Senju looked up. Dozens of Senjus and Sartobis were blown away by the monstrous amount of chakra that exploded from Naruto's core. The killing intent was enough to make Tobirama freeze as he saw that look in Naruto's eyes. That look that Naruto would stop at nothing to destroy everything that Tobirama hold dear. Tobirama quickly handed over his injured brother towards the female Senju that was there. As he turned towards the Kinslayer, he had seen those same eyes from Madara, and he knew the power that he gave to the Wheeler. He raised his sword as Naruto marched towards him, his Sharingan burning. As he moved, only to freeze suddenly. A shocked and painful expression came on Naruto's face as he glanced towards Yamanaka, who was invading his mind. His eyes widened when the Yamanaka started to attack the Uchihas and the Hatakes. The tide changed within seconds as the traitorous Yamanakas joined up with the Senju forces as he started to slaughter the heavily outnumbered Uchihas and Hatakes. He glanced towards Tobirama, who gave a blank look, and he knew. In all of the chaos, they failed to notice the minor details. It has been 2 days since the Yamanaka surrendered to the Uchihas. Tobirama smirked coldly. "You guessed it right, Kinslayer," he said. "You," said Naruto as he was on the verge of breaking free. "They surrendered to you because they knew if they did not, it would be the annihilation of their clan. But the moment that you arrived, they called for our aid. And now that we're here, they shall have their revenge. You come into their home, butcher their people, kill their clan heir, and you expect them to bend to your will. But I see the Hatakes are still fighting for you, despite the situation. Tell me, what leverage do you have over them?" As Naruto did not dare reveal any information that Neri had Sakamo's daughter as hostage until everything was properly signed. That is why the Hatakes were still fighting for them without a single hesitation. He thought about his aunt in the castle. He had to save her, as he saw a majority of his forces got cut down, and the few that he had wouldn't last long. As Naruto moved, breaking out of the mind control and sever the Yamanaka's throat, Tobirama attacked him as he blocked it with his blade. He pulled out a flare and threw it right in the air. As a bright red flare gave the message to his allies to act on their contingency plan. As for him, hundreds of Sartobis, Yamanakas, and the Senju started to surround him and the Uchihas that he had, and the Hatakes. Tobirama smirked. "You're done, Kinslayer," he said. Enemies were all around him, waiting for the perfect moment to strike him down. Their eyes filled of hatred and rage. Their killing intent was trying to make him cower, but to him it was pathetic. Glancing toward the few allies he had left, he saw they were preparing themselves to die. The responsibility of this failure lied on his shoulders because he should have known that the Yamanakas would have done something like this. If it was Madara in his place, Madara would have butchered the top leadership, making the younger ones bend down to his command. But Naruto had done the opposite. He had went with his heart, sparing those who did not perish in battle. He didn't even slaughter the civilians. He allowed them to go back to their peaceful life. He had allowed his enemies to surrender instead of killing them all, because that was a good thing, the honorable thing to do. But in this world, there was no good thing like that. He could already see his father disappointed eyes looking down at him. His father would disapprove of his actions badly, because his father would have cut down the heads of the clan and made the lesser ones kneel. And now his own clansmen were gonna die because he was too soft at heart. His friends, his aunt, his clansmen, and even his Hatake clansmen were in danger because of him. "Tekai," said Naruto. As the older Uchiha looked towards him, "Get our people and the Hatakes out of here. I'll hold the line. Tajima-sama and Madara-sama will have our heads if we leave you behind," said Tekai. "Are you disobeying me?" said Naruto. As the man flinched when Naruto's eyes landed on him, he glanced towards his own clansmen and the Hatakes, who looked quite relieved. "They'll kill you. You know that, right?" said Tekai, as he glanced towards the Senjus and their allies, who were now getting closer and closer. But Naruto simply smirked. "I've won more combat than any of these 3 huggers. I'll handle myself." Tekai could not argue against that. Whatever sins that Naruto committed, there was not a single Uchiha that can argue or doubt his fighting prowess. Seeing that Naruto was given the order, he glanced towards the people to get ready. Any last words, he asked, as Naruto would have laughed if not for the situation, because he remembered asking the same thing to many of his enemies before he slaughtered them. Tekai, in his own way, was asking Naruto if he had any message for his family. His father would not be much affected, but Madara and Neri. "I am a ninja," said Naruto. "I shall die as one." Tekai looked towards the boy with shock. For the first time There was something else but loathing in his eyes as he looked at Naruto. "We will avenge you," said Tekai. "You speak like I'm dead already," said Naruto. Tekai only nodded. "Now go. Make sure the fox escape with you." As the Uchihas and Hatake start to move, the enemy moved forward, but Naruto slammed his hand on the ground. A monstrous shockwave came out that pushed into the battlefield. The younger ones were sent sailing, but the ones that had good control of their chakra stick their feet to the ground. As Naruto stood there as he picked up another blade from one of the fallen Uchihas, as he held both of them in the air, a wicked, twisted grin on his face as he challenged any one of them to come at him. As Tobirama saw that the Senjus nor the Saratobis were moving, nor the Akamichis that were here, as Tobirama knew that the Kingslayer was a dangerous foe, he could take him on, but at the same time he had the man cornered. Tobirama had the numbers. Naruto was all alone. Even Tobirama was surprised, with Naruto staying back to act as a decoy while they escaped. That is far more honorable of him, Tobirama thought to himself. Could there be more to this man than just his combat prowess? He gestured his troops to move forward though. Few dozen brave ones moved forward. As Naruto stood in his spot, his sword in the air, waiting to claim blood. As his enemies came close, Tobirama's eyes widened when he sensed it. Water style. Water bullet. Dozens of water projectiles came from his mouth. The Senjus were too close. They had no chance to dodge as Tobirama watched as their bodies crumbled to the ground dead when the impact struck them in their vital spots. As Naruto walked over the corpses just to infuriate them more, as the clansmen got pissed at that, another dozen came charging at him with some loud roars. It was pitiful. Right before their very eyes, he disappeared in a flock of crows. They looked around everywhere for him until he appeared right in the center of them, as he hacked them to pieces with his blades. He twisted as he deflected hundreds of kunais and shurikens that were launched towards him from all sides. He grinned as he defended himself by deflecting every single projectile sent his way. Tobirama, despite his hatred for this man, could not help but be impressed. All those people that talk about his fighting skills, they did not lie or exaggerate. With his own eyes, Tobirama watched as Naruto deflect every single kunais and shurikens that were thrown towards him. Most of his accuracy was thanks to the Sharingan that allowed him to predict the movement of everything coming towards him. But the way he moved the blade, it seems that the rumors were correct. Naruto was the finest swordsman that Tobirama has ever seen. His eyes widened when a woman next to him fell, a kunai lodged in her throat. As Tobirama then saw dozens upon dozens of dead Senjus, all of them hit by either kunais or shurikens that they sent towards the Kingslayer, as he had sent them back with twice the speed, as the soldiers were bloody mad now to have so much of their warriors cut down so easily, despite Tobirama telling them to stop. As they were going into it hot-headed, they still charged. As Naruto slammed his foot across the land, making half the forest tremble. As the soldiers are unable to balance themselves, as Naruto twists his blade around. Horror crept through Tobirama as he watched dozens of heads roll off. Those who were behind the first wave backed away with fears in their eyes. Tobirama cursed more than 100 was already dead, with another dozen or 2 dozen wounded badly. He cursed himself as he watched their allies Inazaka and the Saratobis charge. Their being here mean that the other Uchihas had fled from his side once Naruto launched that flare, and the Kingslayer must have released such a massive killing intent for their allies to come and save him and Inuma. But still, that left for plenty of Yamanaka to chase after the retreating forces. But despite everything, the Kingslayer was still smiling, that playful grin on his face. "Is that all you got?" Naruto asked, as he smirked wickedly. "Surrender, Kingslayer," said Tobirama, because despite his urge to kill this man, there was a bigger value of capturing him alive. Even if his father had disowned him, Madara dearly loved him, and the thought of making that arrogant bastard worry was enough to make Tobirama smirk. "In your dreams, pretty boy," said Naruto, as Tobirama scowled at the remark, making Naruto smirk even more. "Why fight for a clan that hates you? Didn't they leave you the moment the tides turn? Join us, and Hoshirama can see you greatly rewarded," Tobirama said, trying to exploit Naruto's past. As Naruto laughed mockingly. "You think my life is some precious thing to me? As if I would trade my life for a few more years of what?" "Funny," said Tobirama, "because I think you only serve your family and people when it's convenient. Where was your honor when you used those same hands of yours to butcher your people? To become the Kingslayer, a man without honor," said Tobirama. Tobirama saw the pain in Naruto's eyes, despite him not saying anything. It was enough to make him knew that he wounded the man. For a man like Naruto Uchiha, he can survive 1,000 physical wounds, but the wounds to his character was the ones that hurt him the most. Today, in front of my allies and the gods, I shall deliver justice upon your cursed souls, said Tobirama, as he released a massive killing intent. Yet Naruto's smile came back. If those gods are real, then why is this world full of so much injustice? As Naruto saw the rest of them closing in, their numbers were too much. He just wanted to kill Tobirama. He knew that Madara would be hurt by his death, but this fight didn't look like one that he was about to survive, with all of them surrounding him. Because of man like you, Tuka Senju shouted, as the others cheered, as Naruto looked towards his hands and his blade. It was with his hands that he picked up his blade and killed all of his clansmen that night. His action, he had failed that night, just as he failed, saving his 3 brothers, just as he failed to give something worthwhile to his clan. Guilt and sadness crept across his heart, as he remembered his life as nothing but sadness. There are no man like me, he whispered to himself. Only me, he thought to himself. All sadness and guilt vanished from his eyes. It was replaced by nothing but raw determination. I am Naruto Uchiha, son of Tajima, brother of Madara and loyal, fighter of my clan, Naruto shouted. A armor of lightning came around his body as he raised his blade, one of them covered in lightning, the other one covered with nothing but raw chakra. I shall take no wife, hold no families, hold no lands, inherit no titles. I shall live and die for our clan and my allies. As Naruto created 10 clones, as they all turned to face the enemy. I am the sword of my people, the shield of my allies, the nightmares of my enemies, and I pledge my life to kill every single last one of you. As the clones move and the carnage starts, Tobirama had to brace himself as a fist smashed into his face from the real Naruto. Tobirama was sent sailing away as Naruto wheeled a flock of crows to come down on the Senjus, as the birds caught the Senju's attentions and making them move around. Naruto moved as he took heads, took hearts, he sliced throats. Tuka Senju roared as she moved, as she clashed her blade against the Kinslayer, only for her blade to shatter against Naruto's ancestral weapon. As Naruto twisted his blade and brought it up from her navel, carving her up as she spat blood and fell down. It was then that he saw the unconscious form of Inma, slumped up against a tree. Every bone in his body was begging to kill the boy, but the strategist in him knew that his death was imminent. Even if the Uchihas lost this battle, if they have Inma captive, then the Senjus will be forced to give up all they have gained. Tajima might let his son die if he gave him the alliance of 2 great clans, but Hoshirama Senju would rather sacrifice those allies if it meant the life of his younger brother. As Naruto created a clone that blocked Tobirama, while another one of Naruto's clones grabbed Inma. The enemy army froze when the clone placed a kunai at Inma's throat. Even Tobirama stopped. Move a muscle and I cut his throat. The hatred inside him wanted to slice Inma's throat just to make Tobirama suffer. But the strategist in him knew how valuable this boy was. Because Naruto knew, despite how powerful he was, he wouldn't win this, there was just too many of them. And he was the only one left here standing. What do you want, Tobirama said coldly. Take your armies and go back to your lands. Get me a written order from Hoshirama Senju stating the parting of the Yamanaka and the Hatake clan boat. Then I shall release your brother back to your family, said Naruto. A sea of conflicting emotions passed through Tobirama as he glanced towards his brother and then at his army. No deal. As Tobirama raised his finger, water exploded out of the earth, destroying the clone as Inma was grabbed by a Senju and brought away from the battlefield. You use our conversation to gather time to make your move. Very clever, said Naruto, as his leverage was now gone, as a chaos started once again as the clones were getting destroyed. Still, they inflicted a lot of casualties on their enemies, but now he knew that his defeat was certain, even his death. But if he was gonna die, he was gonna take Tobirama with him. As the members around him make a circle, as Tobirama stepped forward, none of the allies tried to intervene as Tobirama raised his blade. Ready to die, Kinslayer, he asked, as Naruto watched Tobirama blade crack with lightning, much to his own surprise. As Naruto threw the useless blade away, and he held on to his ancestral blade. Dance with me then, said Naruto, as he shifted his feet. The both of them moved as their blades clashed. A few of the Inazakas were a bit too close as they got hit by electricity, as Naruto mocked Tobirama for it, as the man just got more infuriated. Tobirama tried to land everything hit on Naruto, but Naruto was just too much quicker on his feet. As Tobirama blocked a vicious right swing from Naruto using momentum to jump, and landed a kick on his armor, throwing him away. In mid-air, Naruto flashed through hand sign, Lightning release. Electromagnetic murder, he said. As Naruto shoot bolts of lightning all around, Tobirama's eyes raged when he saw his allies being burned to a crisp as lightning incinerated them. As a dozen of them were sent sailing away, their life ended before they even hit the ground. Tobirama quickly made his move water style, Water Dragon. Tobirama pulled the water from the air and created a dragon with yellow eyes. Fire style, Fire Dragon, said Naruto. As Naruto released bright red flames from his mouth and shaped it into a roaring fire dragon. As both the dragons clashed, a heavy mist spread across the entire area. As Naruto used the chaos to wreak more carnage, as he sliced throats in the mist, he tore body parts apart. He used genjutsu's detonate their mind to make them attack their own allies, as he spread chaos. But his fun didn't last for too long as a wild gust blew away all the mist. As once again he was surrounded by the enemies, they were lesser in number. Tobirama cursed as he saw the 3 dozen more soldiers that Naruto slaughtered. This victory was going to be very costly, but it made a fact very clear to him. Naruto Uchiha was a very strong man. He was stronger than him. He was stronger than them. Tobirama had to end this quickly because all of them would cut down rather severely if he did not. Setting his pride aside, gave a nod to his army. Dozens of enemies went through hand sign as all of them focused on Naruto. Dozens of fireballs, water bullets, wind cutters, lightning bullets were hurled towards Naruto. As Naruto looked up and saw them all coming, and the last second though he smirked, Tobirama felt a violent pull. As Naruto's substitute with him, the monstrous chakra, was enough to pull Tobirama into the spot where Naruto was. The scream of anguish came from Tobirama's throat as he collapsed face first into a pool of his own blood. The Senjus and their allies watched in utter shock as Tobirama fell. As Naruto jumped towards the body, and the Senju was still alive, but barely. The enemy started to move, but Naruto stabbed his blade right in front of Tobirama's head. You can try to kill me, but he dies with me. Then you will have to answer Hoshirama how you got his brother killed, and the other one near to death. I'm sure it will be quite an interesting conversation, said Naruto. He's already a dead man. Do you think we are fools? We know that he will kill him even if we retreat, as Naruto will be cursed furiously. Every cell inside his body was telling to kill Tobirama, his brother, would have done it, but he was too valuable to just die right here, as he was Hoshirama's top officer. We don't trust you, everyone knows that you hate Tobirama, as Senju spat. Yes, I hate him for killing my brother, but ending this conflict ensured the safety of my people and Hoshirama's most trusted brother. Now make your choice, as Naruto picked up his blade and placed it at Tobirama's head. They didn't trust him for him to keep his word and not kill Tobirama. As Naruto knew though, if he were to turn this faction around and make sure that his side don't lose more than they intended, he had to keep his vendetta. Finally, one of the older Senju stepped forward. I can see in your eyes that you seek death. You have nothing left to lose, but we do. We shall retreat for now and inform Hoshirama about this. Tell him if you want his brother alive back, he'll have to relinquish any alliance with the Yamanaka or Hatake. Their lands and clans belong to the Uchiha now. Do this and he'll get his brother back alive. What insurance will you give us back in return? A proof of his word they wanted. He glanced towards his blade. The sword had been a part of him for all these years. The history of the Uchiha was in this sword, right from Indra down to Naruto himself. A priceless heirloom, the only gift his father ever gave him. As he tossed the blade towards one of the Senjus, and watched as one of them caught it. That sword is my life and the pride of my clan. As long as you have it, Tobirama will live, said Naruto. Even the Senju and their allies gasped at that. Not only was it powerful and contained history of the elemental nation, it was also worth 2 mountains of golds. That will suffice for now, the older Senju said. Keep him alive, Kingslayer, or you shall face Hoshirama's wrath. And let me warn you, there is nothing more dangerous in this world than Hoshirama fury. It is that fury that compels us to accept this ceasefire. Understood, said Naruto, as he watched as they all fled. He then looked down when they were gone. Tobirama was close to death. It would be a mercy if he crushed his throat right here and now, but not today, as Naruto felt no one else around him. As he picked up the common blade that he had thrown aside, as he created a clone that picked up Tobirama. He then turned as he was going to visit the Yamanakas. He remembered that promise that he made to them, but they did not listen to his warning and they betrayed his people. Rain started to pour from the sky as it turned into a large cry, like the sky itself was crying the earth, because it knew of the carnage that was about to come. Time skip Inma watched as his precious town was turned to a battlefield because of the Uchihas and the Hatake forces. Despite the dire circumstances, the enemy army came back to find Neri. She was protected by the king's guard. She was fast enough to escape the castle, but instead of fleeing, she stand to fight. A fight that has been going on for some time now, with no sign of it ending. Even though the Yamanaka has a number as the king's guards, they were cutting a bloody path through their horses. The only thing that Inma had was that Naruto must have perished on the battlefield, and without him, this wouldn't last long. But another thing that Inma was worried about was a fox, who was laughing and butchering his people. Some of his people were stupid enough to attack the beast, and it retaliated. My lord, as Inma turned, what Inma saw froze his heart. Naruto Uchiha stood there, with a clone of his own, who brutally dropped a ninja on the ground. Inma's eyes widened when he realized it was Tobirama himself. He remembered what Naruto told him that night. Stop him now, Inma yelled. As Naruto moved, carnage and chaos as Inma watched as Naruto rip through his forces. Inma ducked as Naruto threw the blade. But by the time he looked back up, a brutal kick slammed into his face. Naruto grabbed him by the shirt and slammed him into the ground and stepped into his knee. As Inma cried out in pain as a nearby army stopped. As Naruto then broke his other leg and delivered a solid kick to his family jewels. By the time he was done, Inma was gasping in pain. I warned you, said Naruto. The Yamanaka's fighter tried to move, but a tail swept them away from Kurama. As Naruto dragged Inma by his hair right towards the center of the town, he then slammed the man against a wooden pole as he tied ninja wire around his body. What are you doing? Inma said. As Naruto stepped away. What are my clan's words? Said Naruto. As Inma felt fear rush through his heart. Inma cried for mercy as Naruto went to hand sign. Fire style. Dragon flame bomb. Inma screamed as his body caught fire. He screamed and screamed, his melting eyes pleaded with Naruto to end his suffering. But Naruto just stand there and watched him burn. Burning Inma like this was gonna send tremors across the elemental nation, but he had to. He warned them. And it's about that time that he showed them that Uchihas, whenever they gave a warning, if you don't abide by it, you will die. As Naruto watched the stone face of the man turn to bones, before he turned towards the Yamanakas, sound of steel dropping to the ground could be heard as every single member dropped their blades. They could never forget his screams or the retribution that the Uchihas were capable of if you betrayed them. As Naruto looked up to the heavens, as the rain poured down on him, his clan was victorious despite everything that they had faced, the betrayals, and yet he felt so defeated. His people and Hatake survived, but what he did would haunt him. As he started to march back to the forest to be away from these people, people parted away from him like he was a plague himself, as right now he just wanted to be alone. As Kurama followed him, there were no victors right here today. Time skip. 2 days later, Hoshirama Senju was sitting down in his chambers. As his eyes looked towards the paper, where he can prevent his side from gaining two powerful allies. In front of him, his only sister was pacing, her face a mask of righteous fury. He never thought she would develop into the warrior that she was today. She was a pinnacle of power and grace mixed together. In his opinion, she was the most powerful kunoichi and the second best medic in the land. He awfully wondered where that little girl that he carried on his shoulders got replaced by a 15-year-old woman that was 5 feet 9. Her blonde hair reached into her back, which she kept tied into a fine ponytail. Her skin was fairer than all of her brothers, except Tobirama, and not to mention her womanly curves. Most of the enemies had fallen for her charms and had their life ended. But right now, her eyes were burned with nothing but fury. He glanced towards the older Senju man in the room, the one that brought him back the message. Kota Senju was a man that had saw enough warfare that would last him for 3 generations. He had served Hoshirama's grandfather as a young boy, Hoshirama's father as an experienced fighter, and now he served Hoshirama as a war veteran. As the man was looking over the map of the elemental nation, as the Uchihas were vastly gaining great influence, their army was larger than Hoshirama's because of all the smaller clans they have gathered, and now they threatened to take the Yamanaka and the Hatakes, which would be a dangerous blow to Hoshirama's side. Most of all, they captured Tobirama, and it worried Hoshirama every single second. What do they say of Naruto Uchiha in the north? Asked Hoshirama, as his sister glanced towards Kota as well. The older man glanced towards the blade, the ancestral blade, Dawn, lying right on Hoshirama's decks. They call him the Young Dragon. They say he rides into battle on the back of a giant fox. Some say he can turn into a fox himself, and he's the greatest swordsman I ever seen, said Kota. Snadis snorted. The King Slayer is just one man, she said. Kota shook his head, a man who has won every single battle he's fought. What happened there, Kota? Asked Hoshirama, as he wanted to hear everything. As Kota told Hoshirama everything that happened. When it was over, Tsunade was pissed. You should have saved my brother, Kota. The Kinslayer was alone, and there was hundreds of you. As she remembered how badly Inma was when he was brought back, all thanks to the damn Kinslayer. And now another one of her brother was captured. God only knew what the poor butcher was doing to her brother. My princess, you can't intimidate a man who seeks death. I saw it in his eyes. And if we would have moved, he would have killed Tobrama on the scene. That was not the price I was willing to pay. Tsunade was about to speak once again, but enough. As he looked towards Hoshirama, but Tsunade was not finished as she walked up to her eldest brother, as she took his hand. Give me the man, brother, she said. You could see the fear and worry in her eyes. I'll save Tobrama. No matter her anger, she loved her family even more. Probably even more than Hoshirama. But then again, she didn't have the burden of command on her shoulders like Hoshirama. He patted her cheek like the young sister she was, as he gave her a kind smile. I cannot lose any more of my siblings, nor do I want to lose any more men, he said. Then come with us. No matter how strong he is, he's no match for you. She got frustrated when he shook his head. It will only lead to more bloodshed. And Naruto Uchiha is a fine commander, and that will see much more for people die. I just gotten word that the Yamnagas have officially surrendered and side with the Uchihas. The boy burned their clan alive. There is no way that they will join us now, and I will not kill Madara's last younger brother, said Hoshirama. Tsunade clenched her fist tight as she looked at him with disappointment. He's not your friend anymore, brother. Whatever bond you two shared all those years ago, he forsake it, she yelled. But then she saw the raw pain in his eyes when she said that, and she felt guilty. She was still shocked that her eldest brother and Madara had been good friends years ago. Neither of them had known each other true identity, and from the happy smile that appeared on his face when he thought about those days, it must have been good. But it all fallen apart when they learned of each other's identity. Madara had been repulsed by the truth, and the bond that he had shattered. Madara had walked away, but Hoshirama was still waiting for his friend to return back to him. If I kill Madara's last brother, none of us shall survive the storm he will bring into our life. That boy is the last line of defense holding back Madara's sanity. If he dies, then there will never be peace between our families. My lord, the Uchihas have never desired peace with us. They won't stop until they destroy us all, said Kota. But Hoshirama simply smiled. Peace is possible, Kota. If we are so passionate about fighting, then I'm also equally passionate about peace. My father never wanted it, nor did his father. But I'm the clan head, he said. I shall rescue my brother and resolve this without any other conflict. How? Asked Tsunade with a frown. He picked up the blade. Prepare our escort. We march towards the capital, he said. Time skip. As Naruto felt the wind brush past him as he was riding on top of Kurama. They had been riding for 2 days now, as there was not much said between them. As Kurama was quite surprised when Naruto asked him that he wanted to visit the Amaterasu temple that was built by Indra Uchiha himself in honor of the ancient goddess. While most of the noble clans follow their new gods, the Uchihas kept to their old gods. But never Kurama thought that Naruto would be someone to bow his head to any gods. With all the injustice that was placed on him, he had more reason than any to curse the gods. But when he saw Naruto watch as the man burned in front of him, something had broken inside of Naruto. Despite everything, Naruto was still a man. He was still human. Despite what he did to save his people, it still weighed heavy on his conscience. Because he kept a stone face, but on the inside, watching that man burn, begging for his death. It was a lot on him. No men were here, as the guards were female. If you remember well from this female group, they fought and won against man. Sometimes, the man was forced to marry them or died. If their union produced a boy, it will be given to the father. If it was a female, it will be taken by the mother, who will become a priestess or a warrior who defend this temple, located between the borders of the Senjus and Uchihas. Neither clan harmed this place. Only true warriors were allowed to visit this place. Naruto was one of them as he got off Kurama's back. Go on, said Kurama. I don't worship these gods of yours, when I'm practically one myself, he said, with a grin. That made Naruto chuckle a bit, which Kurama was happy to see, as Naruto then moved and hugged Kurama. That surprised him. No man will ever have a friend like you, Kurama, he said. Thank you for being there. Kurama felt like he wanted to cry, because no one had said anything so kind to him, except for the sage of the sixth path. Everyone else think that he was a monster that was out for destruction and chaos. After what happened to his siblings, he had drifted in this world, and his duty to watch over the Uchihas that was the only thing that prevented him from becoming mad. But Naruto was so much different. He befriended Kurama, look after him, protecting and shielding. Even though Kurama could protect himself, never had Naruto said once for Kurama to fight his battles, yet Kurama had fought for this boy. As Naruto gave him a grateful smile before getting back to his feet as he walked towards the temple, as Naruto nodded respectfully back at the beautiful priestess, as Naruto was just like Inja as he saw it. The both of them had grew up similarly. Naruto's mother died giving birth to him. Inja's mother died giving birth to his younger brother. Yet Naruto was more jovial though. And at the same time, Inja felt like his father robbed him by naming his brother the successor. And the others saw Inja as someone who was too strict and valiant, while the Uchiha saw Naruto as a King Slayer, and his father also robbed him as well. But yet, Kurama really hoped. He really hoped that the love that Naruto had for Naruto and Madara stayed, because that was the only thing keeping up the armor that he was wearing. But recently, Kurama saw some cracks in it. And if the boy was to crack and break and lose it like Inja, Kurama, to his duty, will have to kill him, and that will break Kurama's heart. Meanwhile, as Naruto knelt before the altar as a woman, was dressed in fine silk, a crown in her head that shined. No wonder she was called the goddess of the sun. In her hand she had a collection of flowers. In her other hand was a blade. Even if the statue was made of stone, he felt like he was standing in front of the goddess herself, and it made him feel small. Every time he closed his eyes in his dreams, he saw Inma burning. Granted, he had burned many of his enemies with fire style jutsu already, but to burn someone to make his supporters cower in fear, that was something he never did before. What brings you here before the goddess, stranger? As Naruto turned toward a soft and kind voice, he couldn't help it as he marveled towards the beauty that stood before him. The only thing that stopped him from blushing was her priestess robes and her armed female bodyguard that glared at him. Sharp green eyes, black hair that was tied in a ponytail. She was beautiful, incredibly so. But then he remembered his oath to his father, and he turned his eyes from her mesmerizing face. He heard her dismissing her bodyguard as she stood beside him and prayed to the goddess. This place was known for the goddess to help people find their way in life. Broken men and female of war who lost their way. The only thing they asked in return is whatever the visitors felt comfortable giving. Some gave charity and food, water, clothing. Some gave weapons. Some men gave their children, who was raised here to help protect the place as well. As he wondered what he would be asked to give in, the woman beside him noticed his look. "You are safe here," she said. "My name is Naruto Uchiha," he said. He was unsure if she knew his identity, but he was a King Slayer, and that was supposed to make her hate him. After all, he has done the most atrocious thing. "And I am Shizuka Nigashira," she said. If she recognized him or knew him, she hid her hatred very well. He gave her a respectful bow, as she laughed a bit. "You are a noble, aren't you?" she asked curiously. "How would you know?" he asked, also curious. "I was observing you from the moment you arrived. Most men that came here are distracted by the priestess and the warriors. It is why they end up fighting our guards and be beaten. The good ones are allowed to provide those our next generation. But you're different. You never look at any woman the wrong way, even though you show me proper respect. And yet you're here for the goddess." Naruto was surprised that she learned so much about him in a short moment of time. "You have a broken heart," she said, with a sad smile, as he heard rumors about some priestess who claimed to have glimpsed in the future and saw someone's souls. Everything that they stand for. You were born in tragedy, tears, blood, and fire. I see great joy and great loss. The moment you took your first breath, and I see a smile on your face. The day you breathe your last," she whispered. Despite not wanting to believe her words, he found a lot of truth in it. He heard that his mother was happy when he was born, but the great sadness was his father, of having his wife taken away. And the last part had been his secret wish, to die a happy man, after he did everything for his brother. Never had he said that out loud before. He hasn't told anyone, not even Kurama, and yet this woman. He looked around the temple and he felt this strange aura. His ancestor Indra had built this temple, and he felt more connected to him here than ever before. "I have sinned, priestess," he said. As she nodded, "there is not one man that has claimed that he hasn't, she said. How can I forgive myself for the things I've done? How would the gods, if they exist, forgive me for my crimes? She looked towards the Amaterasu statue, standing tall before them both. God forgave all of his children eventually. He made us in his image. And even if you believe yourself a sinner, there must be some good things you've done in your life. A few, he said. Then forgive yourself and try to do the best for yourself. Live the way you want, and not the way others want you to live. And let the gods be the judge when you meet them in heaven, she said. She was not surprised when he snorted. After all the things I'd done, I doubt heaven would be the ideal place for me, he said. But she just looked at him firmly. What do you truly desire in life, Naruto Uchiha, she asked. He pondered her question and a usual answer there, about his duty and his family. But there was something else, something that came out other than what he wanted to say. I want to be loved, he said. He averted his gaze. Perhaps she would laugh at his childish desire. After all, he was no longer the young boy, the innocent. He has changed. He has done so much. But despite that, he still had that dream in his mind. But she never laughed. As he looked back at her, I see 3 instances in your life, Naruto Uchiha. Events that will affect your soul and test you and affect this entire world as well. At the same time, I see great darkness inside of you, waiting to consume you. Day by day, your faith in this world is falling apart, and not even your love for your family will stop you from becoming this world destroyer, she said. Shivers passed across his body from her words, and yet she didn't look to be finished. Or you could be the savior of this world, but only if you became the man you're truly meant to be. Whatever choice you make, know this: the world shall remember you for a very, very long time. He clenched his fist on hearing her words, but he was not someone who believed that God shaped anyone's destiny. Only you can do that. She placed a hand on his shoulder. When you already know that you're the own architect of your life, why bind yourself in chains, she asked. Those words shook him, as it made perfect sense to him. He never wanted title, leadership, wealth. All he wanted was to be happy. Be happy, little brother. Those words came back to him from Aizuna. As he had to close his eyes, hiding tears, she got up as she offered him her hand. He took as she helped him back to his feet. Now, what do you want, she said. I want to have a family, for my people to respect and love me again, and bring an end to this bloody war, and protect the ones I love. That is all I ever wanted, he said. Then you will have it all, but only if you work for it. I see something truly unique inside of you. Don't let others dictate your life. Seize control and become the own son of your life. Just like how Goddess Amaterasu is the son of all of our lives. He surprised her when he knelt and bowed his head. Thank you, he said. She smiled and made him rise back to his feet. I did my duty as a goddess. Would have wanted me to. Still, I must insist to provide something for the peace you have given me, said Naruto. She looked at him for several long moments, but didn't Naruto feel like she was checking him out. Not in a way as a priestess, but then again there was no written law that prevent these women, of gods, from living their life to the fullest. These people were quite strange indeed, as she moved and laid a hand on his cheek. How about this, she said. She raised the eyebrow as he blushed at her suggestion. I haven't done it before, he said in embarrassment. Truly? Someone like you will have women swooning all over you. Or perhaps you swing the other way, she said, as Naruto choked at that. As she laughed, something right there ignited inside of him. He was not willing to use Mikoto, who was infatuated with him. More than that, she was a beautiful woman, and she would not refuse anytime he called. But he would not endanger her by doing so. But a casual fling with an attractive partner didn't sound so bad, and somehow bedding a priestess ignite this wild side inside of him. Are you sure? He asked. She responded by kissing him passionately. Time skip. Kurama had to wait till nightfall for Naruto to return, and when he saw him, he knew that something had changed. There was still a bit of guilt, but the determination was high, and he walked proudly. He saw him step in the temple as a broken boy, but no one man stepped out. As Kurama looked up as he saw a woman looking at Naruto retreating form, Kurama blinked. Could it be? It was hard to tell as Naruto masked his emotions so well, but he did smell a scent on his friend that was not his own, and it was quite heavy on his body. You defy your father, said Kurama. Yes, said Naruto, without hesitation. It seems that Naruto had changed. He was no longer to be the one that made things laid out in front of him. The will to accomplish his dreams, it was burning brightly. She couldn't get pregnant, Naruto, said Kurama. I know, said Naruto, as Kurama glared at him for the short answers. Tajima would be quite pissed if he found out about this. If it's a girl, she will either stay with her or come to me. If it's a boy, I shall raise him. If neither, then I shall use this as my first step to regain all I have lost. But you are forbidden from having a family, said Grandma, as a murderous gaze came in her eyes. I am taken back with force what is mine, said Naruto. If my father tried to resist, I shall destroy his precious legacy. Long, I have allowed others to roam over me, no more. I thought this world would become a better place, but I was wrong. If I want things to change, I have to conquer my own problems first, said Naruto. The boy that he met all those years ago, with the ambition, the dreams, he was back. You plan to conquer the entire world, Grandma said. As he looked toward his friend, who was being a bit too cocky, it seems. If I have to, it will be quite the adventure to stop this all, said Naruto. Don't you say, old friend? As the both of them chuckled as Naruto hopped on top of Grandma, as the priestess waved towards him as he waved back with a sad smile. As he made his charge back home, no one should ever know about this. Not Father, Neri, not even Madara, said Naruto. You don't trust them, said Grandma. It's not that. We are all duty bound to Father and the clan. Even if they don't want to, Father can force them. And I don't trust the old man. He may never allow me to have a family, but this way, if Shizuka and I have a child, then my family line will continue. Once my father dies, then I know my brother will gladly welcome his niece or nephew into the clan. The fact that your mother is a highly respected priestess should silence any protest. You sly little bastard, said Grandma. Seems like you thought this all true. And I assume that this Shizuka would be happy to be the mother of your child, should she have any. I mean, you barely know each other. You don't understand their culture, said Naruto. They seek men that are strong and good. The fact that I am strong and have noble blood only makes it better. Besides, it was quite the experience. And I want to punch my father for preventing me this entire time, said Naruto. Whatever you say, but a priestess? And in the temple? You have no shame, said Grandma. As Naruto activated his Sharingan and looked deep in Grandma's eyes. You bastard, Grandma said, as Naruto placed the memory inside the beast's head. Take that, you stupid fox, said Naruto. I will kill you for this disgusting nightmare you placed in my mind, said Grandma. Then who will remove it, said Naruto. Only I and Madara can do it. And I don't think you will ask my brother for help, as Naruto laughed. Now run, you stupid fox, he said. Grandma roared and cursed, but it only made Naruto laugh even more. His encounter with Shizuka was something he'll never forget, but it also made him wonder something. He did not love Mikoto or Shizuka yet. He was attracted to them for different reasons. He had maintained different kind of relationships, but he didn't love them. Did that make him a heartless bastard or someone who was not capable of love? Either way, he doubted he could permanently love anyone. The gods had to throw Shizuka in front of him to make him realize important things. Neri called him a wild dragon. The only one that can hold him down was someone who was probably more crazy and wilder than him, as Kurama yelled at him to remove those memories out of his head. The next day, when he entered the borders, he was very happy to see a joint force of Uchihas, Hatakes and Yamanaka keeping watch. What surprised him though was a roar of approval, not just from the Hatakes, but the Uchiha as well. Even Kurama was surprised by this, and as they marched towards the center, the roar grew louder. The young dragon they chanted, as Naruto saw true respect in their eyes, and it was all for him. It seems that they were just too shocked of his actions. But now, as they realized that his single act gave them victory, they cheered young dragon loudly as he rode through the town. As he remembered Shizuka's words, as if you load yourself, how could you make others love you? You made it, said Kurama. Kurama didn't give a rat ass what they thought of his friend, but at least they were finally giving him the respect that he deserved. It took 10 years of misery, but finally it was here. As Naruto then got off Kurama's back as he arrived to the main tent, as he saw grave looking Neri eyes, his clansmen kneeled before him. The Hatakes gave a respectful bow. Neri gave him a fierce embrace, but said nothing about his absence for the past 3 days. As Neri passed him a scroll, his eyes widened when he recognized the seal, Fire Daimyo. As he opened it, his aunt had already opened it already. As Naruto's smile disappeared, to nothing but rage. What will you do, she asked, as Kurama looked towards him for information, as he explained. The Senjus have gone to the capital with a large force. It is known to everyone that the daimyo favors them, but he doesn't want to antagonize Uchihas. The daimyo has called her aside for some sort of negotiations, so they're asking for us to talk. But they brought an army to slaughter us if we should not agree to their terms. Doesn't Hoshirama realize we will kill his brother before he decides to harm one of our own, said Kakamai. They have called me with a small guard detail. I doubt Hoshirama will try anything, knowing that if he does, his brother will die. It's a trap, the daimyo is in on it, said Takashi. You cannot ignore a royal summons from the court, much less from daimyo himself, Neri warned. Naruto thought Hoshirama wanted to negotiate with his father, given that his father was a leader of the Uchiha clan. But no, he wanted to speak to him, as he looked towards his aunt, but even she did not know. If they want you to go to the capital, then you will go to the capital, as Naruto froze hearing that voice. But not alone, as he turned and ran, as Naruto engulfed Madara in a monstrous bear hug, as Madara smiled happily, hugging his sibling. Gods, how many years has it been since he saw the depressed little runt? As Madara smiled down to his little brother, he remembered bidding farewell to his young brother, now to see a full-grown man in front of him. As Madara has gotten taller, his wild, shaggy hair behind him, his eldest brother, he missed him so much. This man was the reason why Naruto's loyalty never wavered before. As Madara then looked towards Neri, call the army, he said. But guys, if you ain't subscribed right here, if you want the next part to do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on the bell notifications to get posted. Well, more for now, see you guys soon, peace.